This series we are dedicating to women in science. It's called the STEMINIST. We'll be sharing the mic with several women across many different fields in STEM. Today's episode is all about smashing stereotypes, women in male fields, and finding your way through the world of STEM without losing your sense of humour.
Or your sanity.
Which we definitely lost a long time ago.
Indeed. Joining us today we have Jemma Quin. Jemma is a chartered civil engineer with over 17 years experience in the industry. She has experience in construction and infrastructure, and she is a STEM ambassador. She also has career roots in construction, engineering, leadership, technical topics, and she is the author of the Little Civil Engineer and Friends book series. How cool is that?
I love that, that's so cool.
So she's here to spill the tea on how she got to where she is today, what kept her going, and how she's kicking down the door for the next generation. Jemma, can you tell us a bit about yourself and about your current role?
So, I am an epic nerd when it comes to everything engineering, science fiction and writing.
Love that.
For my day job, I am a civil engineer. I get to help the organisation I work for make sure things don't fall down on site.
That's important.
Yeah.
Very much so. I deal with the health and safety side of engineering. It's called temporary works, which is anything you use to help build things on site and stop them falling down.
Amazing.
It involves a lot of writing reports, visiting projects, having a look. I get to see all these really cool, amazing projects, how you build it, but I don't have to do any of the project management, so I get to the best bits, which is come in, help them with a problem, and then move on to the next bit. I also volunteer with the Temporary Works Forum, which is an industry-wide body that is trying to promote temporary works to the industry and make our construction industry safer.
You've got it all going on.
I like to be busy.
Don't like a quiet moment.
Oh, quiet moments are also important for your mental health.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That and naps.
Naps.
Yeah, naps. Oh, I love a nap.
A tactical nap, my
Yep.
favourite. 20 minutes sorts you right out.
Yep.
A power nap. Oh.
So what would you say a typical day looks like for you?
So a typical day in the office is I get in about 8:30, I answer some emails, I might write a procedure or a report. A typical day on site is I go to site, I carry out a little bit of inspection of the paperwork, I go out and have a look to see if there's anything that might be a little bit unsafe, or if they've got a problem that needs to be solved. So I'd go and help them with that. So I get my sketchbook out and do a little doodle, or if there's anything really technical in maths, say, I tend to get a more specialist person to do that now. I've kind of gone past the maths part and then now into the solving a problem.
Yeah.
I love it.
Leave the maths to the maths.
Yeah. I'm definitely not a maths person.
No, I'm definitely not a maths person.
Well, I'm not, but I can still do like the multiplications and stuff, and I still enjoy countdown, you know, with the maths section.
Yeah.
Can't do the spelling bit, but I can do the maths bit. So
I'm
it's quite fun.
definitely a speller.
Same.
So I prefer the spelling bit, but not the numbers.
I was terrible at spelling at school. I actually had to go to special classes on how to learn to spell.
Oh, bless.
So I was that bad at it.
But look, you're here now.
Yeah.
Can we hear a little bit about your book? We actually have it here.
So I've written quite a few books. These are the two that are STEM related.
Amazing.
This was my first one. It's about a little civil engineer who goes on holiday, then decides to write a book. Funnily enough, that's just what I did.
No way.
Yeah. And then it's about her first day on site and how it was kind of bad. She was getting teased and told that because she was a little girl, she couldn't do things. And then by the end of the book, she's found her confidence and she's asked to help build a bridge in time for Christmas.
Oh, amazing.
Yep.
Smashing it then.
Loving it.
And this one is all about what it's like to be a civil engineer. And it's got little activities to do.
Oh, I see that.
Oh.
Including helping the engineer find the route for the crane to get to site. Helping.
Problem solving.
Yes. There's a word search, and there is her famous grandmother's chocolate concrete recipe,
Oh.
also known as Rocky Road.
Oh, need.
Yes.
Love a
Need.
Rocky Road. So good.
And it tells you everything about like how when you're pouring concrete, it's like when you're home baking,
Yeah.
and you use shutters, which are just like your cake tins.
It's literally just relating how we use science in everyday.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
As a young little Gemma, did you have any access to STEM opportunities growing up, like clubs or mentors, or did you have any role models that inspired you?
Oh, there's so much. I used to watch Star Trek, and I loved
Star Trek.
the engineers on it, especially B'Elanna Torres. She had dark hair like me and a bob, and she was angry at things, and I was allowed to come up with really cool engineering solutions to fix things like inverse tachyon processes and stuff that I don't even know what it means, but it sounded really cool. And then at school, there were STEM ambassadors that came in and told us about what engineering was. And it was because of doing the Scottish Space School project,
That sounds cool.
which
Amazing.
is run by Career Scotland and NASA. I was one of the first cohort to do it.
Really?
And it was basically a competition you did over the summer holidays. You learned all about the engineering and the science behind putting people up into space. And they picked 10 people to go to NASA. Unfortunately, I wasn't one of those 10 people.
Oh, that's devastating.
But I got to go to Strathclyde University for 2 weeks and meet astronauts
Oh my
and
gosh.
do this incredible journey of finding out about what an engineer is. And one of the people on it was I think he was a mechanical engineer. He was telling us how to write CVs. And every time anyone asked a question, he gave us a crisp, shiny £5 note.
Ooh.
Now, this was almost 20 years ago, and
I was gonna
£5
say
went
£5.
a lot, it was equivalent of £20 in today's money. That's showing my age a wee bit.
He must have had a lot of money to be doing.
I know, and that's what I thought. It's like, okay, so he's an engineer, he loves his job, he's getting paid all this mega bucks. I think I'm going to be an engineer when I grow up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's inspiring enough. Crisp £5 notes 20 years ago.
And the other thing was my dad took me to see the Falkirk Wheel getting built.
Oh my god.
It's a major one for Falkirk, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
And he turned to me and goes, well, why don't you do that for a living? And I was like, I'll check it out. And I looked it up, and it was mechanical engineers and civil engineers that built it. I then looked in the newspaper. This is again showing my age. There was more jobs for civil engineering than mechanical, so I did civils instead of mechanical.
So you looked in the paper to see what
How many jobs?
Yeah, and what age were you then?
16, 17.
Was there ever a point where you almost chose a different career path, and what made you stick through?
Every few years, I'm like, is this really for me? And then I make a slight adjustment in my career, and I get a whole brand new opportunity. For example, at the end of university, it was the recession, it was like 2009. I was made redundant in my first job, and I was given the choice of either move to London or on Monday.
Okay.
This was a Thursday. On Monday, or you don't have a job anymore. So I jumped in my car and I drove down to London, and that started me on my career path. There was a point where I thought maybe working on site wasn't for me, so I went and tried working in the office as a designer for a bit. Then he said to me, right, Gemma, maybe it's time to go back to site. It's not for you. So I went back to site, and I discovered this thing called temporary works, which is all the engineering, and a role called temporary works coordinator, where you get to do a bit of the on-site stuff and a bit of the coordinating the design side. So it was the best of both worlds.
Good mix.
So I didn't have to pick between being in an office or on site. I could do both. I could do the fun bits. So I found that, and then eventually my career progressed into being an advisor that advised other people how to do it. And now my role is to write the procedures so that other people can do the temporary works coordinator role and all the stuff. And I'm now helping write industry guidance on how to do things. And I'm like, I'm just a wee lassie from Falkirk. How am I doing all this? This is so cool.
That is
I've
so
had
cool.
so many pinch me moments and false starts, and I'm like, am I really wanting to do this for a living? And then it was about a year ago I realised actually I've got a really cool life. I get to go and do all these really amazing things at work. I get to do all my voluntary stuff. I get to write cool books. And then I get to do interviews like this and feel like a rock star for like an hour. It's really cool.
Can you think of any obstacles you faced in your career?
You can encounter barriers, and at that moment in time they feel like your whole world's crumbling around you. And it's about taking a step back sometimes, taking a breath, taking a pause and realising I might not have the answer to fix this barrier or problem that's in front of me, but I will find the solution to it. And sometimes it's about asking for your support from whoever you need. It's about finding the confidence in yourself sometimes. I wrote another sort of tongue-in-cheek book. It's more based for adults. And it's all the little monsters that I have in my life, and one of them is the imposter syndrome gremlin.
Oh,
it's a little
gremlin
that sits on my shoulder, tells me things to put me off and stop me being bolder.
Stop listening to him.
Yeah, and in my little poem it's all about how I throw him in the bin but he keeps coming back, and I made a little jail and I keep stomping on him and pushing it away.
I'm sure you proved them wrong many a times.
Yeah, but sometimes for me the biggest barrier has been my own insecurity. And whether that just be because I haven't seen anyone like me around about, so I'm like, how can anyone like me do things? Or it could be that something silly like, oh my God, what am I wearing? I don't look like the other people. I'm not wearing the fancy suits or anything. I've not got the right hair. And then you're like, actually, it doesn't really matter what I look like. It's about what I do, the help I can give other people, the joy I can bring to other people, and the joy I can have in the little moments. So if you can, for example, being here, this is like a pinch me moment because I feel like I'm getting to know you and the people behind the camera, and I get to see the hidden parts of Calendar House where I visited. It's finding the little moments of joy in this.
So it kind of ties into what we've just been talking about actually. Have you ever felt pressured to prove yourself in such a male dominant environment, and how did you navigate this?
Yeah, so I was fighting for my job then. When I got to London, they didn't know I was coming.
Wow.
I was working at Heathrow Airport, so there's certain security measures you need. You need special passes to get places.
Can imagine.
So the first 6 months I was there, I was waiting on my pass to come. I didn't really do anything. They just gave me a bit of paperwork and whatever. So it was difficult to prove myself. And then I'd also had a knee injury.
Oh no.
So I was like hobbling about, and it wasn't until I moved on to my next project after that, where for the 18 months I'd been there, I thought I was a disappointment and couldn't do anything.
Oh no.
And then setting out is one of the things that we do, where we mark out where things go on the ground and then you position it. So I asked to get put on a training course to be able to do that, because I was always told that I was really bad at it. I went on the training course and I realised, actually, I know how to do this, and I actually taught everyone else on the course how to do some of the bits I didn't need to know. So all that insecurity and everything was actually in my head. And it was like a light bulb moment. Actually, no, I can't. I do know this. I know. So sometimes it's not about proving to others.
Proving to yourself.
It's proving to yourself.
What do you think are some of the unspoken challenges which women still face in a male-dominant environment?
I went in thinking that everyone was going to hate me because I was a woman. They didn't. When I was down in London, they hated me because I was a Scottish little lassie that came down and was stealing their jobs. So it was nothing to do with the fact that I was a woman.
That you were a woman. You were just a wee Scottish woman that nobody knew was coming.
Like, how dare you come and steal our jobs? It was in a recession. Everyone was fighting for their jobs. The first 2 years I was there was 5 rounds of redundancies. Everyone dealt with it by not being nice to each other and bullying and stuff.
It almost kind of becomes like a little bit of a war zone.
And that's what I thought construction was.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I moved out of that environment and realised, actually, no, it's about helping each other to build things, really cool things. So there can be, when you are the only woman in the room, you can, and you are in a toxic environment like that, you can think it's the norm. But it's not. It's only in that small space. So it's about getting out of those toxic places and moving into areas where you're appreciated more. Your value doesn't come from recognition from other people. It's about your self-worth and how well you help others.
Well said, actually. I like that. So you've actually says this a few times, like pinch me moments. What would you say would be your proudest moment of your whole career?
Getting chartered.
Getting chartered.
The reason for that is I failed it. So in order to get chartered, you have to pass 9 different attributes, and these are about your technical ability, about your leadership ability, about how well you understand sustainability, which is quite important these days. Really? So out of the 9 attributes, I passed 1 in my professional review, which involved writing a big report and then submitting it and then having an interview.
Right.
The interview, they asked me a simple question: what is the sustainability triangle? I couldn't remember what it was.
Oh, brain freeze.
I started talking about the fire triangle, oxygen, fuel, heat, and they were like, no.
Talk about a brain freeze moment.
So I spiralled.
Sometimes you just word vomit though, like I'm guilty of that.
I felt like crying in the middle of it, and I actually wanted to get up and leave, and I was like, no. And that moment in time I realised, I was like, I am not going to pass this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn everything I can about this experience here so I don't make the same mistakes next time. Everything went wrong. In my application, I spelled my name wrong, spelled engineering wrong. On the day, it was when the clocks had changed and I had my watch on, so I almost arrived late to the interview. I said the wrong things, I did everything wrong. And when I got the letter in, I cried because it was which is a perfectly natural response. I grieved. I was fine. And then I was like, stuff this, I'm going on holiday. I went to America. Wow. I went on a road trip. I went to Disney and I did
all the things.
Had fun. I came back and was like, okay, I'm treating this as an engineer solving a problem. Here's the 9 attributes, this is what I need to do. So I looked at everything from how to write a report. I went to a comedy class to teach me how to improvise. Hence why I feel comfortable doing this now, because I went and got a class on it. I was one of the timmest, shyest people ever at that stage in my life, and going through this process transformed me into a confident person. So it's not about getting chartered. It was the experience of overcoming my internal scaredy catness, of thinking I'm a failure if I don't pass this. No, it's just I hadn't demonstrated I was competent. I was competent, I just needed to demonstrate it in a better way, which I did.
Yeah. Would you say that's the most valuable lesson you've ever learned from a failure or setback?
Yes, that anything can be overcome if you just put a little bit of engineering thought into it. Problem solving is key. And also, my first attempt, I tried to do it all by myself, by reading a book. My second attempt, I got the village to help me. I got mentors, I got help from the Institution of Civil Engineers, I got help from the wider engineering community, and that anything is easy to overcome if you have help from others, so don't be frightened to ask for help.
Do you know how they say it takes a village to raise a child? Probably takes a village to raise a chartered engineer as well.
Yes.
What advice would you give to a young girl who doesn't think she's any good, but would still want to go into a STEM related field?
Even if you're uncomfortable in yourself or think you're not good enough now, doesn't mean that in the future you're not going to be. It means that by trying hard, by finding the right skill sets, and just give it a go. And if you find that actually it's not for you, you want to do something else, that's okay too. So give it a go. Just try it.
Just keep
and
going.
If it's not for you, it's not for you. But if it is for you, you've found it. Grab it with both hands and make the most of any opportunity you can.
That's actually some really good advice. I love that. Love that.
Is there anything that you think the industry could do better at supporting women going into the civil engineering?
If we could support people, give them the opportunities, employ them, ask them what they need. That goes for men, women, and anyone who identifies as something else. Ask people what they need and help them, support them. Give them flexible time. Give them different opportunities on how to work. For example, the 9 to 5 doesn't have to be the case anymore. We've seen through COVID that you can do things remotely. We're at the cusp of industry change. All industries are about to change. It's going to be really exciting. So let's support each other and remember, everyone's human. They are not machines. Let's support each other as human beings.
Yes. Are you involved in any other initiatives in mentoring or to help encourage other young women?
Yes, so I also volunteer with the Women Engineering Society as a mentor to a really cool woman who is a few years younger than me, or an earlier stage in her career. I am the local chair for Scotland for the National Association of Women in Construction.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Currently there's 5 of us. We're trying to expand it, so if anyone is into construction and wants to get involved, dial me up.
We'll be seeing some women as well. I'm sure we can hit you up.
And Women in Property, I've recently discovered them. They've actually bought a few of my books and they've asked me to come and help them deliver talks to schools.
Oh, amazing.
That's so good.
If you want to find out what it's like to be an engineer, you can check out my books. They are available in all the Falkirk libraries. They're also available online if you have Amazon Kindle, and the app that does that is available for free to download, or they're available online.
If Gemma's journey has lit a fire under your belly, in a good way, not in like a health and safety violation kind of way, please make sure to follow along our STEMINIST series of this podcast. Please make sure to send it to your group chat, send it to your friends, shout out the window, whatever works.
Just make some noise that STEMINIST is here and it's here to stay. It's part of Falkirk Science Festival and we have so much more to come. This has been STEMINIST, where we make STEM a little less intimidating
And a lot more fun.
Peace out.
See you next time.